Have you ever left a conversation feeling strangely diminished? As if you'd been hollowed out, your energy siphoned, your conviction quietly smothered? You entered with clarity. Your points were valid, your logic sound. You spoke, you defended, you articulated your truth, yet as you walked away, a quiet erosion had taken place. The victory you sought morphed into a vague but certain defeat. That knot in your throat, that heavy silence within, it wasn't peace. It was the residue of a power you gave away. Perhaps the other voices were simply louder, more insistent. They interrupted, they mocked, they weaponized confidence to mask a weak position. Their noise became a cage, and the more you struggled against it, the smaller you felt. In that suffocating moment, you likely believed the oldest, most seductive lie, that to be silent is to be weak. That to not retaliate is to surrender. That your worth is measured by your willingness to engage in every battle you're provoked into. But what if that very belief is the trap? What if true power resides not in the volume of your voice, but in your mastery of the void? The cultural illusion, worship at the altar of noise. We are conditioned from childhood to equate speech with strength. Stand up for yourself. Don't let them get away with that. Fight back. Our classrooms, boardrooms, and media landscapes reward the loudest voice, the quickest retort, the most aggressive stance. We are taught to see conversation as combat, where the winner is the one left standing, surrounded by the rhetorical rubble of their opponent. This is the arena of the ego. And in this arena, you will always be vulnerable, because the game is rigged. It is designed to keep you reactive, explanative, and forever seeking external validation. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, a master diagnostician of power dynamics, saw through this charade. He observed that the desperate need to explain, to convince, to be seen as right, is not a sign of strength, it is a confession of weakness. It reveals a deep-seated fragility, a dependency on the approval of the very person you're arguing against. The compulsion to respond is a chain. And your silence is the key. The two silences, which one do you practice? It is crucial to understand that not all silence is created equal. There is a silence that diminishes you, and a silence that empowers you. The silence of submission, this is the silence of fear. It is avoidance masquerading as peace. It is the act of swallowing your truth to avoid conflict, and it comes at the cost of your self-respect. This silence drains you, leaving you with the bitter taste of regret. It is the silence of the herd, what Nietzsche called slave morality, a strategy of the weak to survive among the strong by erasing themselves. This is not the way. The silence of sovereignty, this is the silence of power. It is a conscious, deliberate choice to not play a game you cannot win because the rules are nonsense. It is not about holding your tongue out of fear, but about possessing such inner security that external challenges simply cannot shake you. This silence is heavy, potent, and unsettling to those who feed on conflict. It radiates a presence that commands respect without asking for it. This is the way. The anatomy of power, 4 weapons of strategic silence. Mastering the silence of sovereignty isn't passive, it is an active, disciplined practice. It arms you with 4 undeniable weapons. 1. The weapon of restraint, the internal victory. The first and greatest battle is fought within. When provoked, your ego screams for satisfaction, a cutting remark, a flawless logical takedown. Restraint is the practice of letting that impulse rise, recognizing it for what it is, a cry for validation, and choosing to let it pass. Every time you do this, you break a link in the chain that binds you to others' opinions. You declare, through action, that your self-worth is not negotiable and cannot be threatened by another's words. 2. The weapon of observation, the predator's advantage. Noise is a smokescreen. When you refuse to add to it, your senses sharpen. You become an observer. You notice the subtle tremor in their voice, the flaw in their logic they're trying to obscure, the insecurity their aggression is designed to hide. While they are emotionally expending themselves, you are gathering intelligence. You see the battlefield clearly, and they remain blind to you. 3. The weapon of time, the pressure of the pause. Most people have a profound psychological intolerance for silence. In conversation, they rush to fill any void, often with compromises, concessions, or revealing mistakes. By comfortably allowing a silence to stretch, holding a gaze, not immediately responding, you place them under immense pressure. They are forced to sit with the weight of their own words and the unnerving reality of your calm. They will often fill the silence by negotiating against themselves. 4. The weapon of unpredictability, the gravitational center. Predictability is control. If people know you will always rise to the bait, they control you. When you become a person who may respond with devastating clarity or may simply offer a silent, unmoved smile, you become unpredictable. This is not manipulation, it is self-containment. They can no longer anticipate your moves, so they must approach you with caution. Your silence makes you the gravitational center of the interaction, they are forced to orbit you. The higher man, becoming unassailable. Nietzsche gave a name to the individual who transcends the petty need for validation and operates from a place of profound internal power, the Übermensch, the Overman or higher man. The higher man does not beg to be understood. He does not waste energy defending his existence. His sense of value is internally generated and unassailable. He understands that loudness is the echo of inner emptiness. The most aggressive argument often masks the most fragile truth. Your need to win the argument is their victory. It means you've accepted their frame, on their terms, in their arena. True victory is rendering the argument irrelevant. It is rising to a plane where their jabs cannot even reach you. When the higher man does choose to speak, his words carry immense weight precisely because they are not wasted. A single sentence, born from silence and observation, can dismantle an hour of frantic noise. The practice, how to wield your silence. This is not a philosophy to merely admire, it is a muscle to be built. In the moment, when provoked, feel the urge to respond, and pause. Take a breath. Anchor yourself in the physical sensation of your feet on the floor. This creates a gap between stimulus and response. Ask this question: will my response add power, or will it leak power? Am I speaking to assert a truth, or to beg for approval? Embrace the discomfort, allow the other person to sit in the silence you create. Hold their gaze calmly. Let them unravel. Their discomfort is not your responsibility to manage. Your new response, often, the most powerful response is a simple, calm, "I understand you see it that way," or "I have no need to debate this." Then stop. The conversation is over because you have declared it so. The world will try to frame your silence as weakness. It will accuse you of being aloof, of not having a counter-argument, of being a pushover. This is the last gasp of a noise-dependent ego trying to lure you back into its arena. Smile at the attempt. You are playing a different game entirely. Your silence is not empty. It is full of your unspoken power, your uncompromised value, and your unassailable peace. It is the ultimate refusal to be drawn into a war you never agreed to fight. In the end, your silence is the moment they realize, with terrifying clarity, that the power they thought they had over you was only ever alone, and you have just called in the debt. Mastering this silence is not a single decision, but the daily labor of building a new self. It requires dismantling the architecture of your old reactions and laying a new foundation, stone by stone. This is the work of a lifetime, and it begins the moment you walk away from that draining conversation, vowing to never again hand over your power so freely. The first challenge: enduring the withdrawal. The initial forays into strategic silence will feel unnatural. You will experience a kind of psychological withdrawal, a deep, itching anxiety to correct, to explain, to make them see. This anxiety is the death rattle of your needy ego, the part of you that was built on the approval of others. It will scream that you are losing, that you look foolish, that you are letting them win. This is the critical moment. You must recognize this feeling not as a truth, but as a symptom. It is the symptom of an old addiction breaking. Do not feed it. Sit with the discomfort. Let it pass through you like a storm. Each time you do, you send a message to your deepest self, I am enough, with or without their understanding. This is how you forge an internal validation system that is fireproof. The second challenge, navigating the backlash. The people in your life who are accustomed to you playing the old game will not appreciate you changing the rules. The provocateur will try harder, upping the ante with sharper insults or more personal attacks, desperate to provoke the familiar reaction. The emotional manipulator will resort to guilt, accusing you of being cold, unfeeling, or arrogant. See this for what it is, a test. Their tactics are a testament to your growing power. Their frustration is proof that your silence is working. It is disrupting the dynamic they relied on to feel control. Your response. Hold the line. Your calm, consistent silence is an unassailable fortress. They will eventually exhaust themselves against its walls and be forced to change their approach, or retreat entirely. You are not being rude, you are teaching people how they must behave to have access to you. The alchemy of presence, from silence to influence. This practice does not make you a ghost in the room, it makes you a gravitational force. When you cease your frantic explaining, you create space for a different kind of power to emerge, the power of presence. You begin to listen not to reload your next verbal volley, but to truly understand. You see the person behind the words, their fears, their insecurities, their unspoken needs. This insight is a form of immense power. You can now navigate conversations not to win debates, but to steer outcomes. Your words, when you finally choose to use them, are no longer scattered shots in the dark, they are precision instruments, delivered from a place of unshakable calm that gives them undeniable weight. People will start to lean in when you speak. They will attribute wisdom to you, not because you talk the most, but because you have demonstrated the rarest of qualities, self-mastery. The final transformation, the man who cannot be played. This journey culminates in a profound personal transformation. You are no longer the reactive participant, tossed on the waves of others' emotions. You become the silent observer, the calm in the eye of the storm. You realize that the highest form of power is selective engagement. You engage not because you need to, but because you choose to. Your conversations become intentional. You speak to build, to connect, to inspire, not to defend, to demean, or to win. The petty provocations, the office politics, the familial guilt trips, the social media outrage, these things simply lose their grip on you. You see them for the hollow games they are. You are no longer a player on that field. You have walked into a different room entirely, a room of your own making, built on the foundation of your chosen silence. And in that room, you are king. Not because you rule over others, but because you have finally, and completely, conquered yourself. The world will continue to scream, to argue, to demand your attention and your energy. But you will have discovered the secret that renders it all background noise. You will have found the unshakable core of your own being. And from that place, your silence will not just be a weapon. It will be your throne. To master strategic silence is to learn the grammar of true power. But this is merely the foundation. The next stage is to architect an entire life upon this foundation, a life where your actions, not just your words, are deliberate, purposeful, and free from the desperate noise of external validation. This is the practice of the unspoken life. Beyond conversation, silence in action. The principle of silence extends far beyond verbal exchange. It is a meta-skill that applies to every facet of your existence. The silence of motion. Stop announcing your goals. The energy you expend proclaiming your next move is energy siphoned from its accomplishment. Let your progress be silent and your results be the only announcement you need. The shock of your silent achievement will be far more powerful than the predictable noise of your intentions. The silence of composure, do not reveal your emotional state to every passerby. Your anger, your anxiety, your desperation. These are strategic vulnerabilities. To reveal them indiscriminately is to hand your opponents a map to your triggers. A calm exterior, regardless of the storm within, is a suit of armor. It makes you unpredictable and protects your inner world. The silence of decision, the man who must explain his every choice is a man who doubts his own judgment. Make your decisions from a place of inner conviction. Announce them clearly if necessary, but do not trail behind them a long, apologetic explanation. This projects certainty and forces the world to accept your terms. The economy of energy, your most precious resource. Nietzsche understood that the fundamental currency of life is not time, but energy. Every argument entered, every frivolous explanation, every emotional reaction is a withdrawal from your finite energetic reserves. Strategic silence is the ultimate wealth management strategy. It is the practice of ruthless conservation. You are no longer a spendthrift, scattering your focus and power on every minor provocation and opinion. You become an investor, allocating your energy only to endeavors that yield a return in line with your deepest values, your craft, your mission, your inner circle. The chatterbox is bankrupt, constantly seeking energy loans from the attention of others. The silent man is a sovereign nation, energy-rich and self-sufficient. His wealth is evident in the calm abundance from which he operates. The ultimate goal, becoming a cause, not an effect. The chaotic world operates on a chain of stimulus and reaction. An insult is thrown, stimulus, and you feel compelled to return one, reaction. A trend emerges, stimulus, and you feel pressured to follow it, reaction. In this chain, you are in effect, perpetually at the mercy of external forces. Your practiced silence is the tool that breaks this chain. It inserts a crucial gap between what happens to you and what you do. Stimulus, silence, your chosen response. In that space of silence, you reclaim your sovereignty. You cease to be an effect and become a cause. You are no longer a billiard ball being knocked around the table, you are the player holding the cue. Your actions now originate from your inner will, your values, your strategic intent. They are no longer reckless reactions, but powerful, cause-setting moves that force the world to react to you. The final silence, the confident unknown. The highest expression of this power is the confidence to say, I don't know. The weak man, terrified of being perceived as ignorant, will bluff, obfuscate, and invent answers. He needs the mask of omniscience to feel secure. The powerful man, secure in his core value, can comfortably admit the limits of his knowledge. His identity is not tied to being right about everything. This admission is not weakness, it is the ultimate strength. It demonstrates a confidence so profound that it does not require the pretense of infallibility. It commands immense respect and trust, for it is the mark of true intellectual honesty. The unspoken conclusion. This path is not for everyone. It is a solitary road that requires you to find validation within, to be misunderstood without complaint, and to derive joy from your own progress, not public praise. You will be called arrogant, distant, or strange. Accept this. The herd's disapproval is the price of admission to a higher plane of existence.